It's my upbringing. It's my education that didn't work out. It's my parents told me this, and now I can't change. I'm already 65. Now I can't change no more. It's we always come up with an excuse not to do it. Because every time something happens, you go say, oh, watch out, be careful. Oh my God, this could happen, that could happen, this could go wrong. So this amygdala is made to keep you alive, to be aware about what's going on around you. And it doesn't need to be huge and big and massive action taking, and because then you go like, oh God, it has to be massive. No, it doesn't. It's a simple, really, really small decision you can take, and then you can take massive action because you build it based on heart. It seems like, and I mean, especially with social media, it looks like everything's perfect in their life, but it's not. We're humans, we're evolving, we're growing, we're changing, we're making decisions.
For the future generation, we are going to do a big deal of favor.
I have traveled to more than 20 countries across 4 continents in the world.
Hello everybody, welcome to SWOW series. The Strongest Women of World is a global talk show where we celebrate strength and achievement of women from all over the world. Women are achieving extraordinary feats in everything that they choose to pursue. It is time to bring such inspirational stories out in the world. Simply put, this show brings the best women in the world to inspire the rest. Bear in mind, this entire show is non-scripted, simply heart to heart with real life experiences. And today's guest is Mrs. Happiness and energy expert. Be ready because she has more energy than a double espresso with a Red Bull. After 2 decades of entrepreneurship and happiness research, Jenn's mission is to help you see your highest potential for yourself with love. She's also an international speaker, TEDx-talker and NLP Master who has worked with women achievers from all walks of life. She traveled all around the world and she loves penguins, high heels, skiing and glitter. Help me to welcome Jenn from Netherlands. Hi Jenn, how are you doing?
Rajesh, thank you. What an introduction. Awesome. I'm so happy to be here and to have this conversation with you today. Thanks for this.
Would you like to share your journey behind where all this development started?
For me, I started researching and being interested in personal development. I remember watching Tony Robbins on Telcel videos, on Telcel, like in the middle of the night. And I was like, who is this guy? What is he doing? What's up with this? And I'm that young that at this time, YouTube wasn't there yet as such. So you couldn't really research. Or just started, and so you could find some of it. So I went to the library and I started looking at books, and I was interested in what else there was than the life I had at now. And don't get me wrong, I had a good life. I was in the middle of education. I come from an entrepreneurial family. I've got good friends around me, everything. But there was always this seed, as you said, inside me, there is more to this. There is more. I don't know what it is, but there is more. So where it started for me was in the library, basically. That's where I started. And then 10 years later, more than 10 years later, I started my own company. Because over the years, I read, I research, and then I try whatever I find. I experience it myself, see if it works. I want to know if shit works. And if it works, then I do it again and I make it happen for myself. So I kind of collect those experiences and then I teach them to someone else. I pass them along to someone else to make it work for them as well. So 10 years ago, I started my own company and now I'm called Mrs. Happiness.
Wow. This is really super cool. You know, I just want to ask one thing, right? Most of the time, people think, yes, I want to have change in life, but don't know where to start. And you know, what happens with that main reason is just because they don't know where to start, they don't even start at all. So the little motivation they had looking at the Tony Robbins video or probably one of your program, they had the motivation, but where somebody should start really to have the change that they desire in life?
The thing is, most people watch on television, and it can be Tony in a tell cell, what happened to me, or it can be the library that you pick up a book, or you get a book as a present for your birthday, or so there is so much information out there that I can imagine that at times you don't even know where to start. And the thing is about getting started is actually getting started. It is actually getting started. That's all it takes. We make life super complicated in our head. And say, well, I want to change, but I don't know how. There are millions of books out there you can choose from on how to change, how to make a change, how to make that particular behavior change. It's up to you to find it. And then here we go, to use it. That's all it is. So where you want to start, how to start, it does not matter. Just pick something and start to enjoy it. That's all it is. And enjoy what you're doing. But start somewhere. If you want to start with journaling, buy a book, get a pen, sit down and start with journaling. But I'm not good at it. Of course not. You haven't done it yet. So just start in that case. Go to the library, what I've done, pick up a book and actually apply what you read. Otherwise, it's shelf knowledge, they call. Yeah, shelf knowledge. It's up there on the shelf and you don't use it. Pick it up and use it. It's, as I said, I use the things, I experience them. I'm making them part of my life and see if I like them. And if I like them, I'm do them again. And if I don't, and if it doesn't work, then I pick up something else. But it's actually the fact of picking something up and doing it.
Yeah. I think this is very important. Like Tony says, right? What he says is, when you are in the middle of a decision making, take a decision, for whatever change that people want to do, but, make that big, massive action, right? In his words, with that energy, he says, take a massive action right there at the decision making time. I think that's the key. And I think most of the time here I see one very important issue here. One, where to start. But like you said, you start exactly where you are from, because you can't do much about already what you belong, isn't it?
That's it. That's it.
Just
start where you are.
Just start where you are. But here is a very important point. And I see it with most of the people, especially, who are too much used to that comfort zone, right? That they always keep looking at one person or one situation to say, oh, COVID is there, I can't make the change happen. And probably, my wife is, she's so much kind of putting a lot of condition in my mind that I'm not supposed to get into my business. Or you give a name called kids. So it's very common that we see that they pick up a situation or a person where, they say, because of that, I'm not able to make the change. What do you say? How do you actually overcome something like that?
Oh, it's so common and it's so easy to do that. It's my upbringing, it's my education that didn't work out. It's my parents told me this and now I can't change. I'm already 65, now I can't change no more. It's the thing is, Rajesh, is we always come up with an excuse not to do it. There's always an excuse not to do it. Even what I do today, I can always come up with an excuse not to do it. Because there are plenty, as much as there are excuses to do it, there are also excuses not to do it. But we're kind of, in our mind, we have a thing that's called the amygdala. It's a part of our brain. And yes, it's right there in the back. And the amygdala is made to keep you alive, which means she's based on fear. I call her a she, I don't know why, but well, she is called based on fear, because every time something happens, she goes like, oh, watch out, be careful. Oh my God, this could happen, that could happen, this could go wrong. So this amygdala is made to keep you alive, to be aware about what's going on around you, to stay alive. So you don't have a saber-toothed tiger coming around the corner and eat you alive. You don't want that to happen. Yeah. But the thing is, the amygdala is so sensitive by now because there are no saber-toothed tigers. I don't know where you come from, but not in my area where I live. They're not there. So we are not physically endangered, but the amygdala wants something to do. So she comes up with all sorts of scenarios that you have to be careful about. But is it actually true? So therefore, we come out with excuses, saber-toothed tigers, not to do something because it might be scary or endangering or whatever it comes up with. So there's always a reason not to do it the moment you listen to that part of you and that voice.
I think this is really, really important, Jen, because I could see myself, I could relate that to my own life situations where even to take my first flight, I had a lot of excitement, but I was equally scared. But somehow I took the excitement level slightly higher to say, okay, and it comes to the level of investments that I do where, oh my God, what can happen? That is giving me an indication. It can go wrong because it cannot spot a tiger. It is seeing tiger in every new thing that happens around. So like you said, I have stopped not doing investments in, especially I'm talking about markets. It's like, oh my God, okay, what happens if something goes wrong, right? I could easily see that is there literally in every new thing that we want to introduce into our lives. And unless anything new comes, there is no change that can ever happen. As long as we continue to do what we have been doing, we will continue to get the same results that we have been getting. So I think this is a very important point that you made today is be aware of that. The function is to keep you alive and keep you safe and nothing more. So now my question, probably let me think about this, right? How we can actually overcome that excitement of something new beyond the fear of something old. Is it?
Yes, Rajesh, it's such a good one. Yes, because the fear of something old, or in this case, the fear of survival, literally, that's what the amygdala does. And even in the business I am now, and even as far as I've come, I still have her happen. I mean, she still pops up in my mind. She goes like, what would this happen? And this could happen, and this could go wrong. And, ooh, I know you shouldn't do this, because they always come up with a reason. But how to work with it is what I do personally is, first of all, when she picks up, when the voice picks up, I know her by now. I know her tone of voice. I even given her a name because I know she comes up, she will come up. And I go like, interesting, thank you for picking up. Am I actually going to die? And 100% of the times I say no. I said, okay, so we don't even have this discussion then. Thank you very much for bringing this up. I'm going to be safe. And you actually notice that by having this little conversation with the voice in your head, she starts to kind of quiet a little bit. And she goes like, oh, I'm so glad you're not going to die. I said, yes, I'm fine. I will eventually, but not at this moment in time. So thank you very much for this. And then I continue to shift my focus on what it can bring me when I take this decision. What would be the outcome? What is the good thing that comes from this? So I focus on everything that's good or that I'm grateful for or what's coming for me, why I'm taking this decision.
Yeah, I see that. I think this is a very important thing. And unless we really kind of focus on that, most of the time, I'm sure many people can easily relate to this, especially for sitting in the comfort zone for a very long time. And again, I want to take Tony's quote who says that, right? The pain of being in comfort zone becomes more than the pleasure of sitting there is when you actually start making the change. But the solution that we are talking here is you don't need to go to the desperate situation. You can sitting there right now, we can make your focus, shift the focus instead of thinking about, I like that idea, right? What you said is about giving it a name. That little voice, giving it a name becomes so clearly evident that the moment it starts talking, because I'm going to implement this. So give it a name. The moment the conversation comes, ask that responsibility is to keep you alive. Ask, am I going to die? And then go into the positive side and then start focusing. And now I'm realizing unconsciously or subconsciously, I have been doing it every time I do something new. because I'm crazily doing something or the other new thing every 6 months. So every time I have made sure that I overcome the excitement was always greater than the pain or the kind of fear that it was. So, but let me put, a little perspective in place here. Somebody found, okay, I will start today. And then they took a call and they took a massive action, probably, to bring back their natural health, just for an example. And then they started taking a step ahead. And it's very common that first few weeks, days or months are very difficult to go by because you're always pulled back into the comfort zone, isn't it? And what kind of things that we think, we should be really doing to keep the momentum going so that you cross the barrier?
The moment I start something new, before I get into discipline and motivation and get myself through those days, if you go into discipline, this is what I noticed for my life, it gets a forced situation. So I'm pushed to do something which costs a lot of energy. Yes, you can achieve something with it, but it costs a lot of energy. So what I'm changed to do this, because I like my energy to use it for lots of things. So why push me on the health basis? Like if you take that as an example, as the moment you go back to the situation and you say, okay, I want to change this. And what is my outcome? What is my goal? Where do I want to go? And then the trick is, and this is one that really works for me, is the moment I get this goal and say, okay, I want to change my health. So I make super specific what it means to change my health. It's not that I change my health, but I want to have this in weight. I want to have this in measurements. I want to have this in my blood works. I want to have to be super specific on my health basis to where I want to go. And then I add my reason why. So I override anything that this voice in my head can come up with. I overwrite it because I can overwrite it with where I want to go. So which means why I want to be healthy, because I want to live a long life, because I've got so much I want to do. So much I want to share, so many people I'm here to help or to help me. There's so much I still want to create and build and make and share. And you notice what happens? My heart goes like, oh, this is what I want. So then I'm driven from my heart instead of from my mind telling me I have to drink this green juice every day. Because suddenly my heart tells me to do so. And then it's way easier to do it because you're pulled to do it instead of pushed to do it.
Yeah, I think these changes, heart-centered changes, are much easier to get things done and stop pushing that force. Man, I need to drink that green juice. Oh my God, okay, I was not used to, right?
And also what happens the moment you push yourself, you actually punish yourself if you're not doing it. So then you get a double whammy for your voice to come up and say, see, I told you, you're not going to do it again. And that voice is brilliant. She comes up with all sorts of solutions. You go like, okay, now I tackled this area. And then she comes from a totally different area going, I told you, you're not going to drink the green juice. Nuh-uh. And then, so it kind of, and then you start punishing yourself. So you put even more pressure on yourself, but the pressure is not where it comes from. The drive is not from putting more pressure on you. We've all done this. I've done this for years to put pressure on myself. I should be different. I should be doing this. I should be, would be, could be, whatever else that came out. Did it work? Meh. A bit, not so much. And now that I changed it into being heart-centered, and it sounds so easy, but darlings, it's that easy. Because I connect with who I am to make it happen to where I want to go.
Yeah, I think here you made another important point in this thing is about the energy. The moment we start putting force on it, the energy consumed is a lot more higher. But I want to really come into a foundational question about the energy itself. It's so difficult most of the time to have the energy throughout the day for many people. But I see you the level of energy that you maintain throughout the day in so many calls, in the mentoring calls, in the masterclass and all. So what is that secret to that kind of, maintaining, or, in fact, at this moment, I would rather say you need to double your energy, because most of the time you're so lethargic, you sit in front of Netflix and let it, attend some of the needs to keep you in that lazy position, right? So how do you think we should really kind of focus on, building up that energy, that positive energy, like you said, right?
Building a positive energy is building a positive relationship with yourself. And it is from, instead of punishing yourself, telling yourself off, or being nasty to yourself for not doing something. For instance, the Netflix, if you're like on series 3, I guess, then Netflix asks you, do you want to continue watching? And if you see that one happening 3 times in a row, you're like a long time on that couch. And then the conversation starts in your head with yourself, saying, I shouldn't be doing this. I should have done this, and I haven't done it. But the reason is, so in this case, again, it's asking yourself the reason why you're on that couch. I like watching Netflix. Okay, I get it. I do too. Yes. Why is it that you're avoiding something else? Because that's where the conversation starts. The moment you choose something and you choose it from your heart, you're good to go. But you have to be careful. The moment you choose it and you choose it because you're avoiding something else, now we have a conversation. And then it's the courage to sit down with what you're avoiding. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. And that's the most loving you can be for yourself. With all your love, switch off Netflix and have the courage to sit down with yourself and say, what's going on here? What am I avoiding? All it takes.
Come from the area of love and keep probing that why and see whether it really supports or not. I think that why itself is such a powerful word. The more you keep asking, it'll naturally throw a lot of real, true, belief systems we have within our mind. That why, but then you need to have that courage. Like you said, having that courage and then honesty to have the conversation is the foundation to have the desired change. Otherwise, it's like, in a football ground, you keep hitting the ball that side and that comes back again. It's by force. Most of the time, it doesn't work, isn't it?
It is. See, force made us come to where we are now in many ways. But force is not who's going to get us where we want to go.
Yeah.
Life is meant to be easy and effortlessly. And for a long time, I lived in hardship, punishment myself in my head. I was mean to myself in a way I wouldn't even be mean to another enemy around me. An enemy. I wouldn't tell this stuff I was telling myself. So the question is for you watching now today, what are you telling yourself? What are you telling yourself in your head? And is this actually helping you getting somewhere? Or do you want to change it? And this is where it starts. That's where it starts. You go like, I don't want this anymore. And it doesn't need to be huge and big and massive action taking. And because then you go like, oh God, it has to be massive. No, it doesn't. It's a simple, really, really small decision you can take, and then you can take massive action because you build it based on heart, this heart. Because you start feeling who you are, you start connecting to who you truly are. The moment, Rajesh, come on, we both had times that we felt absolutely miserable. I did. How about you?
Absolutely, no doubt about that.
Yes. And so everybody in this world knows how it feels, how it is to feel absolutely miserable. And what that means is, and here we go, it's super simple, is that you're not aligned to who you truly are. You're standing next to yourself. Because you're, for instance, I was living what I was taught to be instead of who I truly was or am now, let's say it that way. or that you're trying to convince someone who you are, but you're not, or that you're wanting to be an entrepreneur and you're pushing but really you want to be a stay-at-home dad, but you can't because the situation around you tells you it's not the right thing to do, but your heart tells you to. The thing is, the moment you don't do what you feel inside here is when you get in disalignment. Is that the right word? Don't know. So not aligned anymore. And that's where you feel absolutely miserable. So we're coming back to feeling what our heart tells us to do, our soul even tells us to do. And then you can even feel it now in my energy that I'm connecting to my heart, my soul. It goes like, this is how you want to be. This is how you want to, this is where you said the energy, where it comes from, is right here. It's in the heart, it's in the soul, and this is an endless supply you can get from there. The moment you start from your head, from punishment and pushing and abusing yourself and discipline, it all comes from the head. And then it costs you so much more energy than when you relax, align, breathe a bit. And then you have an endless supply. It's so beautiful.
It's actually all the answers are there. As you said, if you actually go within instead of swimming against the odds, if you start actually going within and then listen to, your own intelligence, whether we call it as just the heart or the overall intelligence, it has answer for everything which is uniquely developed for that particular individual, which nobody has any other clue. Like, actually, it's like, like you said, right? Coming back home, instead of, even where this even question of blaming somebody comes in this picture, because for every answer, if you're going within, there is nobody else whom you can go ahead and blame, because everything is designed to teach you something. And what did you learn? And I'm almost sure, because I'm into only spiritual path over the last 5 years or probably 6 years. I started trusting in the process what my intelligence is saying. It was so difficult. Believe me, it was so difficult for me to really accept the fact that I'm taking certain decisions which physical mind or, it was not making a big logic for me, but I trusted. Once I saw the results, which turned out may not be good for a company, for somebody, for something else, but it is 100% correct for me. Because it is designed, it's my journey is purely designed, and like you said, endless supply of the energy is continuously being pumped, and it's just about you open the tap and then use it, and just open the book, take the answers.
Yes, it's all there. It's all there. It's all there within. And if it's within you, it makes you connect to whatever divinity you believe in. Because that's where the endless supply of energy comes from. It's from the true connection amongst each other. But that's I think we can talk about this in another 3 podcasts if we go into this direction. Yes, the thing is about, it's easy to blame someone else because you don't know what someone else's situation is, but it's super easy because it's outside yourself. You're like, no, but it's their fault, or it's the company, or it's the baker who didn't do it right, or it's the supplier who didn't. But the moment you point at something, that's what my grandmother told me, the moment you point at something, what happens? 3 fingers are pointing in your own direction.
Yeah.
So the moment you judge, you blame someone else, notice what you're doing. Notice what happens to you, or what have you done? What could you've done differently? And then the situation changes. The situation does not change the moment you blame someone else, because someone else is not responsible for your happiness. Only you are. And this is not easy, because you're making these decisions for you. Every single day you can make decisions. And basically this whole conversation with you, Rajesh, comes down to making decisions. Because you can decide to pick up a book, and then you decide to do something with what you read in it. or you decide not to and put it back into the shelf knowledge. It's all based on a decision. And the decision is whether you want to choose the change that's coming and not listen to whatever your head comes up with, the ideas and the voices, or you choose you. Or you choose to stay where you are now. Or you choose to listen to your whatever you're surrounding and be the person who you're not. Or you choose to, it's a choice in everything that there is. And I learned over the past decades, literally, is the choice, whatever you make, whatever I made, I always come back with me. And based on, I have to be clear in this one, because I also got as an answer or a question, but Jenn, isn't it selfish? No. Because within, there's a big heart, as well as you, you all have a big heart. This is what we're here for. That's why we're humans. And what's within the big heart is love, a lot of love. And the moment you take a decision based on love, you're good to go. You're good to go. Because your intention is right.
And it's a lot more required also, as I see it. This approach, it's not just about making you happy, just at home or with yourself, be it at work, be anywhere for that matter, right? The more we become heart-centered and then take the decisions, life really becomes effortless, because everything that you do is pretty much in alignment, like you said, right?
Yeah, it is. It's in total alignment to where we want to go. And the moment I am aligned and I work from my heart and I take my steps, my decision based on what I feel is right, what feels good, without avoiding something else. So there's the discernment in that one. So whatever it feels good, and I continue on this one, I can be a much nicer human to someone else who I'm going to meet. And then we share that love, that spark, that energy, that light, whatever there is. And this human is going to go, I like this, and continue on their path. The moment I'm a miserable mother effer, I'm super miserable on that day, and we meet, what happens? My being miserable infects the other, literally. And then she's going to be miserable a little bit, not much, depends on how aligned she is. But she will continue with my miserable infected and continues. So what happens to the world? It's like a ripple effect. So I choose, but that's my choice. I choose love. I choose energy. I choose light. And that's the choice I make every single day, and every choice that I make.
Is that something that you remind yourself all the time, Jenn? Choosing love? Because, most of the time we are, right from our childhood, we are conditioned to think that we need to look good for others, and we need to make them feel good about ourselves. In that process, people lose themselves. And this is where probably the self-love comes into the picture, right? How do you actually do you remind yourself very often that you love yourself, you come from the area of your love, how the decisions are impacting, how do you do that?
Oh, that's a very good question. The how-to question, I love it. See, it's not so much that I remind myself about it, but it starts small in a lot of ways. Like we just said, it starts small, and it starts with the moment I take a decision, I now trained myself to be aware how I choose from there. And that can be as small as being in a cafe and ordering a coffee instead of a green juice. I check in with the why. It's like something I trained myself to do, because I know it's going to be the best outcome I can have. So with every decision, I come back to this moment, go like, and I take the decision.
Yeah, I think what I understood is the internal talk that is happening, it became a lot more conscious for you, instead of just thinking, okay, it's a Friday night, let me go out for a party. Instead of thinking like that, the unconscious mind, you trained your mind in such a way that every decision became so conscious, and with the time, probably that might have become a habit for you. So which means you've replaced all the non-supportive habits with the supportive habit. I see that, how beautifully you've done that.
Yes. So I choose love. So on a Friday night, I feel what I want to feel. I feel like, okay, do you want to go out? Yes. And then oh, that's a good one. I haven't even thought about this. I double check with my why. I double check with who I want to become. That's my why. And who I want to become, does it fit her, me in the future, to go out on a pub crawl tonight? And if it doesn't, then I choose not to. Or I choose to see my friends for an hour or two, and then I choose to go home. So I adapt the situation to who I want to become. So I sort of, it's like in Dutch you say, we call it a helpline literally. Like I call into the future and I say, Jen, what would you do? And then she goes like, go and see your friends for a couple of hours and then go home and have a good night rest. Friday nights, it's a full-on party night because it's joy and nice people and whatever, and that's good too. But I kind of give myself a heads up with giving a call into the future and say, Jen, what would you do? That's it, because this is who I'm going to become. And that's the reason why is who am I going to become? So what is the choice I make now for her in the future?
I think you created a formula here as I see it, right? As you've been repeatedly doing, I understood if a serious thing has to be changed, which is a very non-supportive thing in your life, it has to be changed. First thing is to really come in terms with understanding the fact that you have the choices. You always have the choice and you can exercise that choice. So build the courage to exercise that choice by having the right internal conversation with probably the future self, like you said, and then build that as a habit, whichever the supportive habit that you built into. Probably move from here, get the choices in place, exercise them with the courage, and then make that as a habit, which means the life is moving a lot more effortless because you're always in touch with your future. This is really amazing. This is really
like bring the future and say, oi, what should I do? What's a good idea to do like this? And don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't have all my areas in my life all figured out all the time. No, I don't. But I have them at the moment I make a choice. And if I make a choice and 10 minutes later or a day later I go like, I shouldn't have done this, or I want to change it, then change it. A choice is like not something that you go, okay, this is it, and then I'm stuck with this for the rest of my life. No, you make a decision and then you change it.
Yeah. And
avoiding taking a decision is the same thing as Netflix. It's procrastination. Yes. And procrastination and avoiding something takes a hell of a lot of energy, excuse my French, but it does. And you could use it for so many different ways. You can do it so many different ways. So why use it on not making a choice? You can always make a choice and then come back to it and say, ooh, I want to do it differently. Okay, then you do it differently. It's all good.
In fact, that one choice made such a huge difference in my life. When I had a daughter, Manya, like it was very earlier time, like probably 1.5 years. I used to see her so bubbly and then, full of energy. And then, at that age, they only smile. And most of the time, they want to kind of touch you, feel you, and, kind of jump around the bed. I tried to actually made it a very clear choice that my energy levels were not really good enough to play enough with my own daughter. I realized something is wrong. And till the time, I have never exercised that particular choice. But then I decided, let me do whatever it takes to get back into the energy level where I've got time and enough energy with my daughter. That entire future has changed based on that particular decision. And now many parents, they watch me and they say, oh my God, how do you get so much of energy? But I say, I've designed my whole day, I'm busy, but I've got my time because I manage the energy right from the kind of food I eat, the kind of yoga or anything that I do, like the way that I manage my entire process has changed. But it all started with that small process, small choice, And again, as you said, even my things are not really sorted out in all areas. But I'm always in progress mode. Like, I think this is another area where most of the people give up, saying that, oh, I'm not perfect, right? Okay, if this is happening, this is not happening. I think this is another point that you beautifully put up.
Even people we look up to, they don't have everything arranged. They don't have everything in order. They're not perfect in every way. It seems like, and I mean, especially with social media, it looks like everything's perfect in their life, but it's not. We're humans, we're evolving, we're growing, we're changing, we're making decisions. Giving up before you actually get started.
Yeah.
No.
But I think that is the exciting part about the human life itself. I mean, if somebody is really willing to progress, there is no end to it. And at the same time, you give up without even start, there is nothing new you can see in your life.
The moment you decide you don't want to change, is what you're doing now will only get worse. It won't stay at the same level, because the moment you're not adding new experiences, new people, new decisions, then the level you are at will actually diminish. Because the moment you stop growing, you die.
Yeah.
That's what plants do. That's literally what nature does. If it stops growing, it dies. And it's good that it dies, so it can go back into the process, and then there's growth again. So that's good. But for us as a human, as in life, the moment we stop growing, we die a little bit too on the inside. And that's not where we want to go. That's not the reason why we have life or why we have love. To die? No. It's not physical death, but it can even be mental death or the death of your heart. But you can choose, and that's where it is, to choose to just grow a little bit in a little bit of an area. But I can't, because I'm not perfect. I'm not either, darling. None of us is. Literally none of us is. So just choose something a little bit and make a little bit of a change, and you will notice how to get a ripple effect from you to someone else, to your life, to another area of your life, and then suddenly it will all come together. It's so easy. It's so easy.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, it is just that people have to understand that fact and then exercise it is the key for it. But if somebody wants to create the life that they really want, and I'm seeing the way that you're putting up is just don't go outward, right? It's all about going inward and create the experience and see it in the world, isn't it?
Absolutely true. Yes. The moment you are aligned with yourself, and it's not all the time, every day, every moment. No, it's not. But you can practice it and come back to it. And the moment you feel aligned and feel the love, the gratitude, your own soul, where you want to go, you're good to go.
So, I mean, that is really very interesting, Jenn, because, in Indian culture, they call this body as a temple.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that you are saying it is, for everything, come back. You can call it as a home or a temple, but come back to this, like that starting point that you're mentioning, right? And then see where is the real anchor, and then start from there. Look at the progress that you made, look into the anchor position, and then start again, and then move. Is that what you said?
That's absolutely it. It's the moment you come back to yourself, and it's a constant. The moment before I particularly take a decision, I come back home. And it's not in the home where I am, but it's back home within myself. And the more I come back home within myself, the easier it is to take a decision, to take the next step, and to remember who I'm going to be. Because the woman, Jenn, in so many years' time, she's already home within herself. And I'm still practicing on a daily basis to come home for who I truly am. And this is where it comes down to. The moment you start feeling who you truly are is literally exercising coming home to you on a constant basis. Always come back to you. And it is easy, but we make it so complex. but then this has to be right, and this has to be right, and then I should have had this conversation, and I should have had this upbringing, or I should have had this education, and it's all external. But remember, everything that happened in your life until today made who you are now. So you're already home inside of you. It's up to decide to you to reconnect with your heart and your true self in your soul. That's it. And from there, it's easy to take the next steps.
I think this is the most important message, is you are your home, and come back home to see where you are, and then go out. Don't seek approval from outside. Be absolutely okay with yourself. And this is definitely much needed at this moment, as I see, Jenn.
We want to have approval from the outside to remember who we truly are. But the moment we get approval from the outside, it's never as good as if we can and allow ourselves to give it ourselves. And that's where the temple comes in, that you just said. Because we can, only you and I, from the inside out, we can build the temple. No one from the outside out can build the temple for you, because they have no idea who you are.
Yeah.
So it will never be right. It's funny, isn't it? We want to have approval from the outside to be seen, but the only one who can see ourselves is us. And building from there is there where it comes home. This is where we come home.
This is the call for all the audience right here. Come home and start from area of love, and feel that self-love, and be appreciative of everything that you did, and take the decision from the area of love and from within. And I want to say a big thanks to you, Jenn, for really putting focus and all your experience on such a delicate thing, and beautifully explaining it. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Rajesh, for having me, and to be sharing this genius we both have with all the geniuses that are listening. Yes, everybody of us is a genius and is absolutely awesome. It's such a beautiful word. It's awesome. Every one of us is that. And it's just remembering that we are awesome makes us come home. That's it. Thank you for having me today. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation with you.
Thank you, Jenn. Thank you so much. Audience, if you've not yet liked or subscribed, make sure to hit that button right now and share with every single person out there who is actually waiting to have that self-love and make some difference in their life to exactly the way that they want to live.
Be a ripple effect. So if you like and if you share it, you can be part of the ripple effect. So we all are allowed, or allowing ourselves, to come home.
Absolutely. Let us spread this love, and it's much needed in this moment, in these times. And otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in once again, and I'll see you with another amazing guest in the next week. But for now, me and Jenn says thank you so much, and bye-bye.